When I came back and began to work for the university starting in 1994 and became the university architect in 2004, only 4 years after that, the flood of 2008 hit. We're sitting today here under the bridge of the Art Building West, looking back at the 1936 Art Building. This was the epicenter of the flood of 2008. The water from the flood from the Iowa River was 9.5 feet deep on the street that we're sitting next to. Where the art building was used to be part of the Iowa River. There were a number of tributaries and little ponds and things because it was very informal prior to 1933. They dredged the Iowa River, put all of what they called the spoils on the west side of the river, and created a plinth or a new level, which makes up Riverside Drive in this area. Created this new pocket we now call the Arts Campus, and the art building was the first in 1936, followed closely by the theater building north of it in 1937. And when building something and digging out the foundation underground, near water, an Iowa River, you reach water. And they built the basement lower than that level. So from day one, the lower level of that building has had water against its foundation. And from day one, there have been pumps and other things that make sure as the water seeps in that it can be pumped out and moved on to storm lines that feed to the river. And I am 50 years plus later a student in that building. You smell the moisture of the lower level. I was in the building alone, and I went downstairs into the basement. I could hear the trickle of water that I was mentioning that gets in certain spots. And it was very dark down there. The light switch isn't at the start, it's over there. I had to get my phone out with the little flashlight to go down. And I swear I heard some animal in there. And I thought to myself, I'm not getting out of this alive. FEMA designated the building as damaged too much and needed to be replaced. They approved that we would build the building that sits just north of us now, a second building by Stephen Hull. He designed this building, Art Building West, that we're sitting under today, and it was built in 2006. Also flooded, but recovered from the flood, protected from the flood. The beautiful thing about Core 10 is that it's imperfect. You can see water has dripped down this side and created this vertical stripe. That wasn't there on day one. After the flood of 2008, we came back, and one of the things that happened, you can see it a bit on the front of the building, but dramatically around the back of the building, where the water flooded, where the water rested against this building. we went back to Stephen Hull as we recovered the building, and we said, we want to work with you in making sure we do the right things. And he agreed with us. He said, absolutely not. Part of the reason I used Core 10 was not only to reflect and honor the original art building and its brick, but because it would live and tell the history of the building. So keep the stripe that has been created by the floodwaters, because that will forever tell the story of the flood and where the water hit this building. And if you go to the sidewalk that surrounds Art Building West, you'll notice in the sidewalk these metal plates. Those metal plates, it's actually not a sidewalk. It acts as a sidewalk. It's a 12-foot by 6-foot concrete foundation. And those metal plates are inserts where, when we might be threatened by a major flood here, we remove those plates, put I-beams, we have them stored, put I-beams into each of those inserts, and then insert aluminum panels between them. And in 18 hours, we can assemble a 900-foot-long wall that surrounds the entire building and the pond. And it's 12 feet tall. And so this site, the entire site, becomes protected from any floodwaters.